welcome you watching the Wednesday edition of This is Exclusive with me, Shavin Sen. For the longest time, it was a shadow war between Israel and Iran. Now it's turned out to be a wider conflict. How exactly will this really settle, or will it settle at all? Tonight on This is Exclusive, only Indian News Network getting you reports from both sides, Iran as well as Israel. Our top focus on the wider conflict between Iran and Israel. But up first, let me take you through the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei warns Trump government, says there will be irreparable consequences if United States of America intervenes in the West Asia conflict, and that he will not surrender. Israel confirms the complete destruction of the Kermanshah air base in western Iran amid Israel and Iran trading airstrikes for a sixth consecutive day. Republic continues live and exclusive coverage from Israel, the only channel with extensive ground report from both the countries. Prime Minister Modi arrives in Croatia, received by Prime Minister of Croatia. PM meets and greets with members of the Indian diaspora. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past 12 hours, the Israel-Iran conflict has escalated to one of its most dangerous points. Yet, with Israeli forces launching a wave of targeted airstrikes across Iran, hitting military depots as well as military installations, Iran has responded swiftly and forcefully, firing a fresh barrage of missiles and drones at major Israeli cities including Tel Aviv and Haifa, with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claiming the use of hypersonic missiles Fatah for the first time in the conflict. And now we have a possible third entrant to the West Asia conflict. US President Donald Trump has demanded Iran's quote-unquote unconditional surrender, a statement that has been sharply rejected by Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, who warned of irreparable damage should the US intervene directly. Now, with both nations digging in and international diplomatic efforts faltering, the world watches anxiously as fears of a broader regional war looms larger by the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, we have captured each and every moment coming in from Israel as well as Iran in the last 24 hours. In fact, on your screens, these are images coming in from Iran. This was reported just a short while back, explosion in the Ardabil Industrial Park. In fact, I'm also going to take you through the details of the places that have been targeted by the Israeli military. In fact, a short while back, there was also an official confirmation coming in from Iran with regards to 16 locations in Israel that have also been targeted. It's a claim that has been made by the Iranians at this point in time, saying that this is a response, a retaliation to the Operation Rising Lion that has been started by Israel. In fact, on your screens right now, these are the drones that have been flying over the Kermanshah region. Kermanshah, remember, happens to be one of the targeted areas of the Israelis over the last 24 to 48 hours. Israel maintains that this is not going to end anytime soon, till the time they believe that the conflict will only be over after this elimination of the Supreme Leader. In fact, in a short while from now, we're also going to take you through some breaking news coming in from Israel at this point in time, with a confirmation coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces with regards to an attack that was carried out just a short while back. In fact, we're also given to understand that sirens are going on as a hostile aircraft infiltration that was sounded just a short while back in southern Golan Heights. A UAV was launched from Iran and it is intercepted by the Israeli Air Force. Now, it turns out the defense minister has now confirmed that Air Force jets have destroyed the Iranian regime's internal security headquarters. That's the Iranian center. In fact, on your screens right now, these are the Fatah missiles that have been launched by the Iranians. So this is a recap of what has basically happened in the last 24 hours, with Iran saying that they have also launched the hypersonic missiles, and they say there is much more, and Israel should be prepared for a surprise. Now that's what the Iranians have to say. Well, in fact, let me take you through the latest visuals that have been put out by the Israeli Defense Minister. They have now confirmed that Iran's internal security headquarters, which is the regime's main arm of repression, has been destroyed. In fact, this is how they address it. It's the main arm of repression, as what the Israelis say. On your screens right now, these are the latest images that have been accessed by Republic TV from Republic reporters on the ground. In fact, these are visuals coming in from Tehran, and the confirmation coming in from the Israeli Defense Forces, where they have confirmed that one of the headquarters in Tehran has now been attacked. These are the latest images now coming in. They've also gone a step ahead by confirming the fact that they have also been able to intercept a few missiles that have been launched by the Iranians. Let me also take you through another visual that's coming in. Now, this is a video that has been released by the Iranian embassy here in the national capital of what they say a strike at the Weizmann Institute. Remember, this is where some of the nuclear scientists, Israeli nuclear scientists, have been operating. We're given to understand that there are no casualties. But what you see on your screens right now, this is what Iranians have to say, that they have launched a ballistic missile, and this was in response to some of the nuclear sites that have been targeted by the Israelis, and that is the reason why they have now targeted the Weizmann Institute. In a short while from now, we also have a reporter who would be joining us. In fact, he would also be speaking to some of the reporters, some of those who've been studying in this particular institute. Ladies and gentlemen, as missile sirens continue to pierce the skies over Tel Aviv, civilian life in the city has been turned upside down. Schools are shut, businesses are operating in crisis mode, families are spending nights in bomb shelters. The once bustling streets of Israel's commercial capital are now marked by fear, uncertainty, and a constant readiness for the next strike. We bring you an explosive ground report showing how residents have had to flee the places they call homes, while buildings in one busy towns stand deserted.
In Israel, in Tel Aviv, and you can see that now it is closed. Nobody can go inside. Here are the residents of this area, and they are trying to understand where should they go after they have been evacuated, because as you can see, everything is destroyed. You can see inside the buildings, this was an apartment of somebody. It is completely devastated. As the house, you can see here inside, the devastation is immersing. Everything is completely destroyed. Windows are broken, also some of the walls. All the stuff inside of the houses, apartments, also burned, destroyed. You can see how much of the destruction caused just one missile from Iran. And here usually used to live young people, Israelis that are coming from all around the country because they want to live in this amazing non-stop city of Tel Aviv, next to the beach. The beach is just a few minutes walk from here, the Mediterranean Sea, but now this site is completely destroyed. Nothing could survive this blast of Iranian ballistic missile. You can see the destruction. All of those buildings, in each of them there are many apartments, many people lived here, and everything is destroyed. You can see here there are balloons with gas that also could explode, and if it explodes, then the damage will be, of course, much higher. And the buildings here completely destroyed. You can see it yourself. And then now the municipality of Tel Aviv would need to destroy those buildings and build the new ones. And here I'm standing on the place where the ballistic missile from Iran actually hit. It hit now this parking lot, but the shock wave destroyed everything in a radius of hundreds of meters. You can see the impact of this blast. And if those kind of rockets hit the buildings themselves, then of course nothing can survive inside the building and not next to it. This is a residential area. There are no military targets here. There are nothing here except of people that are living here, their life, innocent people that have nothing to do with this conflict between Iran and Israel. Maybe the target of the rocket was this building, because inside at least used to be the consulate of the United States of America and some of the offices of the Embassy of America. And actually the impact of this blast also hit a little bit even the embassy, which is hundreds of meters from here, the main building of the embassy. And you can see the impact. It is just unbelievable. Now I'm standing on the floor, on the ground, under which used to be a construction of an underground metro station, and that's why Israeli security forces, rescue forces, told me that all of this place can collapse because of the impact of the blast. And this is just one neighborhood that was almost completely destroyed, and there are many more neighborhoods like this one, residential areas that also were the targets of the Iranian ballistic missiles. And in all of those places there are a lot of destruction. People are killed, injured, and all of their homes and stuff is lost, as you can see here behind me.
Well, in fact, I'm going to now take you through some of the visuals that we have accessed from the Iranian embassy. Iranian embassy basically now claims here in the national capital that they have carried out an attack in Israel and targeted the Weizmann Institute. They say that this is a response to the nuclear facilities that have been targeted and medical institutions that have been targeted in Iran. They say that there's been casualties that have taken place in Weizmann Institute. Now, this is the picture that has been put across by the Iranians, stating that ballistic missiles were basically fired. And as you can see from this particular video, they are once again clearly indicating that Weizmann Institute has been targeted. In fact, they have now put out stating that 16 places have been targeted in Israel. In fact, one of it basically happens to be the Weizmann Institute. In a short while from now, Republic reporter Ratnadeep Chaudhary, in fact, Ratnadeep Chakraborty is currently with a student from Weizmann Institute. Ratnadeep, I've just put out a video of what the Iranians say that Weizmann Institute was basically targeted. I believe you are with one such student who is been studying there in Weizmann.
Yes, I'm currently joined by an Indian student. His name is Sarthaki. He was a student of one of the same labs which was targeted by one of the Iranian missiles which fell and destroyed the lab. And I would want to take it forward to him, and I would let him describe what he feels, what he has seen, and how much of the lab is destroyed and what remains.
So no, I'm not a student where the lab is destroyed. It's like the lab which one was destroyed. It's like far from my lab. It's like it's 200 to 300 meter away from my lab. And but where I worked, that building was not completely damaged, but it is partially affected because of shock wave, and few lab of this building is quite affected. Like basically few instruments has been damaged. That's all.
And what about the lab that is been shown here? One of the labs that was completely destroyed. How much of that is remaining right now?
That I don't know completely, but I heard that it was like 50-60% is completely damaged.
Okay, so as we can see that one of the labs that he's talking about is at least 60% damaged. I have also seen a lot of information coming about with professors who are working in the labs who are saying there's years of research work has gone into waste because the lab has mostly been damaged. Would you want to share of how you feel when someone's research work which has been worked upon, because you're also a researcher here, how does that feel actually?
It's very difficult to be calm with these situations, but it is what it is. But have to expect what happened.
And let me just say one last thing and ask him before I hand it over to you, that in no way this was a military target, right? This is just a civilian infrastructure, educational institute. Nowhere it was a military building.
Yes, it's not. It's like an educational institute, nothing else. Like many people who work there, it's like educational institute completely. It's not like a military.
So that's what I've been trying to say even yesterday as well, that the Iranians have attacked time and again places which are not military infrastructure, not military structures, but actually civilian buildings, educational buildings in all over Israel.
Quick question before I, move on with the other story that we're coming up with. But the significance of this institute itself, the fact that the Iranians are now putting out a full-fledged video where they're saying the Weizmann Institute has been targeted. Just for the benefit of our viewers, what's this institute all about and why this has now been singled out by the Iranians?
Well, he was a student. I would actually allow him to talk more about it, but it's one of the most premier science institution in the country, has been one of the one institute which have produced a lot of premier innovation and technology when it comes to the cutting-edge technology that has been produced. It is also one of those only places initially when a nuclear reactor and nuclear research was actually been installed. Could you want to take a little more forward from there?
Yeah, it's like a premier institute in Israel, and many people are doing very good research there. That's all I can say. It's like a very popular institute.
And somewhere down the line, this actually shows when Israel took down the nuclear scientists in Iran. This is somewhat of a retaliation to take down also the best institutions here in Israel.
Well, thank you very much, Ratnadeep, Republic reporter, getting us that first report from Weizmann Institute's student. Thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, our reporter on the ground also spoke to the former Israeli Prime Minister. In fact, it's a classic example of how the coalition government of Netanyahu is also getting support from the others. Listen in to what Naftali Bennett had to tell my colleague a short while back.
I want to be very clear. This is not a war between Israel and the good Iranian people. The Israelis feel for the Iranian people. The Iranian people are under a terrible regime, an old regime, incompetent, corrupt, radical, violent regime that beyond endangering the world is making the lives of the Iranians horrible. I call upon the Iranian people, this is your moment. This is your moment to stand up, to remove the mullahs if you can, and the world will stand behind you. I also want to say this is a moment where if we didn't act now, the cancerous tumor of Iranian nuclear program would be much worse in a year or 2 years. What you see here, 70 buildings that are hit, would have been hit by a nuclear weapon, so we have to act now. And finally, to our friends in other decent-minded countries around the world, we are doing the dirty work for the world. We are the ones who are removing and preventing Iran from going nuclear. We are preventing Iran from being a danger to the world. If we didn't act now, Paris and London and Washington in 2030 would receive a nuclear warhead. So we're not asking anyone to fight for us. We're doing the fight. We're willing to pay the price. We are asking, have our back. Don't criticize us. Back us. We're doing the right thing.
Well, that's all that we could pack in this edition of This is the Exclusive. Coming up, trending with my colleague Rakshit.